ABBA may be one of the biggest pop bands of all time, selling 370 million albums and rising, but there was always a sense of sadness beneath the shimmering harmonies. The heartbreak and loneliness played out in the lyrics to Knowing Me, Knowing You, SOS or The Winner Takes It All reflected real domestic crises within the band. After her divorce from lyricist Björn and the subsequent band split, Agnetha retreated from the limelight and moved to a remote part of Sweden. Her last solo album of original material was in 1987, but now she's back with a new record which coincides with the opening of the Abba Museum in Stockholm. The title of the record is simply A. After all, Agnetha was one of the two A's in Abba. When I met her this morning, I asked why she'd chosen to return now.
This was not planned at all, so I really thought, to be honest, that I have done my latest or my last record. But then these two guys, Jörgen Elofsson and Peter Nordahl, were in contact with me, and they wanted to present 3 new songs. When I heard the first 3 songs, I felt that I can't say no to this. I just have to do it. But I had to think it over because it was 9 years ago that I did my last album.
And that was cover versions, but your last album of original material was 25 years ago?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, but had you been thinking about it over the years, or had you resigned yourself to a life outside of pop music?
I never decide, like, if I'm going to do anything more, because I don't want to think in that way. I jump in and out in this business. But at the same time, I'm aware of that I'm not young anymore. And you don't know what happens to the voice. I had to try to start with and see what it sounded like. So.
Did you not instinctively know whether you could still sing then? Had you not been singing?
Not very much. I mean, I sit by the piano now and then, and I play with my grandchildren and so, and sing maybe in the shower sometimes. But you can never be sure what comes out. I mean, if there comes out an old voice, I wouldn't do it. So I said to the boys that we have to check first.
An old voice? What, you were worried that you would sound old, you mean?
Yeah. You never know, I mean...
And did you have to kind of relearn to sing at all, or did it come straight back when you went back into the studio? Did it feel natural?
I had some problems, to be honest, in the beginning. In a way, I felt a bit rusty.
Right.
And so I took some singing lessons and said that I want to go back to that secure feeling with my voice, so I don't use the throat too much. So I had to work the stomach muscle up again and sing from the stomach.
Right.
And it worked after a couple of times.
And Jörgen Elofsson has said that he wanted to write songs that imagine that you had never joined ABBA in the first place, that you'd continued a career that started when you had your first #1 hit as a solo artist in Sweden at the age of 18. Now, that's a nice idea, but when we listen to this album, which is called A, and the A was the A in ABBA, one of the A's in ABBA, in the band name, but we hear ABBA, there are echoes, there are obvious musical echoes, and do you hear that when you listen back to the record? Were you aware that that's what was happening?
No, but it doesn't surprise me either, because I was, 1/4 of the group, and I still many people say that they recognize my voice very, very clearly. So it's hard for yourself to hear that.
And there is that sense of yearning and vulnerability in your voice, which is so appealing. And I've talked to Benny and Björn on this programme, actually, about what it was about ABBA, that we think about the spandex suits and the glitter and the high heels. But really, the underlying appeal of ABBA was the sense of sadness and the tension. And we talked about whether that's something about the Swedish, not only just the Swedish psyche, but the Swedish landscape as well, the dark forests and the short days. And they thought they were tapping into something of Sweden in those songs. Do you think that's right?
I think it's quite right, because we live in a very, very dark country. I think we are very funny people, can be as well, but to live in this climate that we do, with half a year of darkness and cold, it makes us special, really. It's something in there, the Nordic feeling, and it's just there. It's not something that we create, it's just within us.
One song in which you perform a duet with Gary Barlow. It's a song called I Should Have Followed You Home. And there's a hook line in that song, which is Now I Know, with a vocal line echoing that line, Now I Know. And he goes, Now I know, now I know.
Yeah.
Now, Abba fans will immediately recognise that, because that's like the line from SOS, isn't it? Now you're gone, now you're gone.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
But, I mean, again, is that a conscious thing, just as a kind of little hint?
Oh, no, not
Had
at
you
all.
not noticed that?
I have not been thinking about it, not at all, no. No, I think it's more in another song, it's Dance Your Pain Away.
Dance Your Pain Away.
Then maybe we have a little hoax somewhere that really reminds us of Abba.
There's a lot of voulez-vous in that one, in fact, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. It's something you recognize, but we have absolutely not been doing this to remind people of Abba.
There's one song on the album that you wrote, and it's the final song on the album. It's a song called I Keep Them on the Floor, beside my bed. And it's a song about memories, about loss, about regret. And when you were in Abba, a lot of people were always interpreting the lyrics and wondering whether they were playing out the autobiographical story, the story of the band, about the relationships. And of course people will listen to that and wonder whether it's you thinking back to the split of the band and the relationships there. Is that an autobiographical song?
I think it's very common that people try to analyze, is it really about herself, or, well, I can say it is. But from the start, when I composed this song, I thought from the beginning it should be a nursery song for children.
Like a lullaby?
Yeah, so that people can recognize with the feelings for the children and so on. And it became more and more, the more time it went, to a love song, like always. It's so difficult to write about something else. And even if I didn't write the lyrics, I wrote the music, and I had the line, I keep them on the floor. What do I keep there? Yeah, the
photographs,
photos, memories, nostalgic.
And do you, I mean, not literally, do you keep memories and the photographs of your days in Abba by your bed beside you, but how much do you keep those memories and those images in your head on a day-to-day basis? Have you just filed them all away?
No, they're within me. There's a lot of women that do these things, that we are collectors with photos of the past, the children when they were small, and I think that many women can recognize themselves in these words as well.
And you say you always felt happier in the studio rather than being on the live stage, and that was always the case in Abba, was it? I mean, you didn't really like touring, you didn't like the razzmatazz, the circus of being in a pop band.
Exactly, and still we did it. But those times we had here in London at Wembley Arena, that's fantastic. I said
that was 1979. I think there was 7 or 8 night residency at Wembley Arena.
Yes, I think it was 9 or 10
oh, really, even more?
In a row.
Right.
I think.
I was 13 years old and I saw one of those shows.
Oh,
I went with my whole family, and it was a family night out.
Oh,
first big concert I'd ever seen. Absolutely astonishing.
We never forget this. It was fantastic audience, and we were really moved. We could really feel the love. And we are very, very proud of this. It makes you very, very happy.
So you do have happy memories when you think back, because the way it's been written is that, you shunned the spotlight, you turned your back on the stardom because it was all too much. It was too painful. You didn't like stardom.
Of course, it was a lot of irritation. We were tired, and there was a hectic period in our life, and there were also so many other things going round in Björn's and my life, because we had small children at home. So that was, of course, very frustrating. So that was hard, I think.
And also trying to maintain a relationship. And it's very difficult. There were two relationships going on in the band. And your marriage suffered and the marriage split up. And, I mean, to sing a song like The Winner Takes It All, which seems to lay bare the breakup of a marriage, a divorce in song, written by your ex-husband, and you take the lead vocal on that. I mean, that must have been very difficult to deliver that in the studio.
Yeah, it was not difficult. I think it was a fantastic song, and it was after our divorce. It was, of course, very moving, but it was a challenge for me, because I could really put a lot of feeling in this, and there was something very, very sad about it. But there was no problem for me to do that.
Nothing more to say, no more race to play.
And you could relate to it, even though Björn had written the lyrics. Had he told you, had he sounded you out about it? Did he say, look, I've written a song about... And was it obvious it was about the two of you?
You know, our divorce went on for a very, very long time. So we talked about it, and how are we going to do this in the future, and can we still be working together? And we choose to do that. But I think it's the most fantastic song that we ever did.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It really is. It's very, very candid. But did he give you the lyrics first of all and say, you better read this? Or was it just another... Can you remember how it happened?
I can't remember, actually. But the thing is about Björn that... I think it was Frida said in an interview that Björn were writing lyrics about the four of us, but we don't know who, which song is whom.
Yeah,
maybe
about all of the situations.
Yes, and maybe this song in particular was about both him and me.
The winner takes it all, the loser has to fall.
And in the years since you've been living in a remote part of Sweden, and do you listen to Abba? I mean, how aware have you been over the years of the legacy and the enduring love for the band?
Nowadays, I think it's very, very nice if I hear a song in the radio, so with Abba. But there were a couple of years after we stopped that were very, very difficult for us. We had enough. Both of the music, and we were so tired in our whole bodies and heads, so we couldn't listen to it. There was several years, really.
And Mamma Mia, the musical, has gone around the world, and the film, and Abba is as popular as ever, really, possibly even more so. And now this week you have the Abba Museum opening in Stockholm.
Yeah.
Are you going to be there for the opening with the rest of you joining
I
your
still
bandmates?
be here in London, I'm afraid. So, but they are aware of that. So maybe we do some linking with just a greeting from me. But I'm there in my heart with them.
So you're not going to be there because you're here with us here?
Yeah.
And you're not going to go back for the opening?
No, but they know that. As
Would you
well.
like to sing in public together again, the four of you, in whatever form?
Yeah, I think we would like it, but I don't think that we're going to do it, because we have our separate lives now, and we are much older, and I can't see a reason why we should do it. Really, we have been doing so much together. Yeah.
You must wonder what it would be like if the four of you got together in a room, and just to hear what happens in the air when the four of you sing. And you don't think that will ever happen again, even in private?
No, I don't think so. And we see each other now and then, but not very often.
So when you're near me, darling, can't you hear me? SOS. The love you gave me, nothing else can save me. SOS.
And are you prepared to be back in the pop game now with this record, if it's successful? Or is that a worry? Because you have had a very quiet life, and the spotlight will be shining on you once again.
Yes, I know that. And when I decided to do this, I had a talk with my daughter, and she said, "Are you really going into this circus again, Mother?" And think it over. And I did that, and I think that it was necessary for me to explain for the record company and everybody around that I cannot work in the same thing I have been working before. And it's also necessary to just get some rest in between, and to feel the longing to sing again.
Agnetha, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
When you're gone, how can I even try to go on?
Agnetha Fältskog, the album A is released on May the 13th.